Hello, my friends, and welcome back to 1111 Outdoors. We're going to be talking about the Leatherman Signal today. This is the tool that I carry if I'm out in the woods. And people ask me, should you carry a tool out in the woods? I'm telling you, you will find a use for it. It will come in handy. And if you're a multi-tool person, if you carry one in your urban environment, in your daily life as part of your EDC, you're used to seeing a situation and you instantly see an application for your multi-tool. I mean, whenever something pops up and you're like, that's it. I can solve this problem. Like just the other day, I was at the gas station and there was a lady up in front of me and she was just like, she was kneeled down and she was inside the car. And I was like, what is she doing over there? And then I realized she was trying to get her gas cap open. The little door for her gas cap, the wire that holds the spring that activates the gas door had come loose from the little lever mechanism. And it was pretty deep in there. It was probably 2-3 inches deep in there. And you couldn't really get a grip on it because it was kind of a little sharp piece of wire. Well, I popped out my arc, went over there and grabbed a little piece of wire, popped her door open. I mean, that I can't tell you how satisfying that is to solve someone's problem. To help someone out is just like, in my book, that's where it's at. If I can help you, man, I'm doing great. I live to help other people. So anyway, it was really great to get her gas door open, and she went on about her business, and she was very thankful, and she saw the multi-tool, and I could see that in her eyes, and she thought, man, if I just had one of those, I wouldn't have struggled for so long, and I wouldn't have needed someone to come bail me out. And I'm very happy I could help her. You're very welcome if you're watching this video. It was really nice to meet you. But that's what I'm talking about. A multi-tool comes in handy in areas and in situations you just did not think would happen. And that's what's so wonderful about carrying one, is you have a problem solver right here. And the more you use it, the more capable you are at solving problems with a multi-tool. And that applies to an urban environment for sure, but it also applies when you're outdoors. And I can tell you, here, let me name a few situations. One time, there was a fellow hiking friend that got way too close to some cactus. We were hiking out west, and they got really too close to some cactus, and unfortunately, some cactus barbs got stuck in their boot, got stuck in their pants. I mean, it was a pretty gnarly cactus they bumped into. But I had the multi-tool, so I was able to pull all the little needles out of her boot. I was able to get all the little needles out of her pants, and it really saved the day in that situation. And then a few days later, along the same trip that we were on, someone had a shoestring that I don't know who tied it, but they obviously were into forever knots because this thing was knotted up. I mean, just crazy knotted up. And I used the pliers to untie that knot. Now, could I have done it without it? Yeah, I would have got it figured out. But the tool helped out so much. And those are pretty standard. I mean, things like that happen all the time. I mean, you come into situations like that pretty frequently when you carry a multi-tool, but there are situations that are kind of unexpected or very, very strange. Like we were at the lake one time, and one of my friends, her friend had somehow hooked her bikini bottom with a fish hook, and it was stuck in there. It came through the material and back out the other side. So you were in a situation where you couldn't just pull it back out. It was going to wreck this bikini, and it was a really nice bikini. So I was able to go over there with my multi-tool, and I used the wire cutters to cut the barb off of the hook, and it came right out. See, that's what I'm talking about. You're going to find ways that this is going to come in handy, things you didn't even think you would be dealing with in any situation. But they're going to pop up, and you're either going to be prepared or you're not. Now, why do I carry this specific one outdoors? Well, this specific tool is engineered with the outdoors in mind. If you're an outdoor enthusiast, you'll look at this thing and think, that's smart. That's someone who has been outside and knows a thing or two about using a tool outdoors. Really neat. Let's get into it. This tool has the ability to sharpen itself. It can start a fire. It can call for help if, God forbid, you ever needed that. But it has that capability to do that. Let me walk you through it and show you how. This situation right here is a sharpener. You just push this button, this thing pops off. That's pretty fantastic. That's a little diamond sharpener. And you can see that it has this concave, convex type geometry. And the reason being is because of your multi-tools blade has these serrations. And that curvature actually complements the serration. So you could sharpen your serrations with this tool. And you could use the flat side to sharpen your blade. And I have done that in the wild just to see if it works. And it worked very well. I didn't have any issues on it sharpening the tool. Now, would I use it just all the time? No. But it did the job when I needed it to do the job. And that's the whole purpose of it being on board, is it will do the job where you are, whenever you're out there. Now, you can see it snapped right back on there. And it's very secure. This is actually the lock that holds your little internal implements out. So it's a dual purpose thing. It retains the sharpener, and it is a locking mechanism for all these little implements that are inside. That's pretty smart. That's well thought out. Now, as far as speaking of locks, there is a lock here, and that keeps the tool from coming open. If you unlock it, it swings away. Lock it, it will stay closed. And that's handy if you have this carabiner holding it onto your bag or your belt loop or wherever. It keeps it from coming open accidentally. That's very smart. That is a wise design. And when you put it in your pocket, it has this pocket clip, and that's down, so you don't have to worry about it swinging away in your pocket. This pocket clip is pretty fantastic too. I have put it right into my pants pocket and just carried it around like that. It's really quite comfortable. It's pretty slim as far as its size goes. I mean, it's one of the more slender multi-tools. My arc is much bigger than this one. You have that lock there, and it works very well. If you flip the tool over on the opposite side from the sharpener, you'll see this. And this is a ferro rod. This is one of those rods that you can strike with a striker, and it will throw sparks, and you can start a fire with this. Now, there is a word of warning here. This is a replacement one. I have used it just to make sure I can make fires, and the one that came with it, I think I made about 20 fires with the one that came on it. But you can look, it is very low profile, and it is very small in diameter. You're going to exhaust this material quickly. So, in a pinch, this will start a fire. And many times, 20 times for me. And there's enough material to get that done. But it is going to scratch this up, and it is going to eat into that material. Every time you strike it, it's going to remove more material. And it goes by quick. So in my kit, I usually carry a larger ferro rod. I mean, I carry one that's like 6 inches long and 1/2 inch in diameter. It's a lifetime of sparks. So I use that one. And if I'm ever in a pinch, I'll use this one. But I did use this one in the beginning. Actually, when I got this, these were yellow. I replaced them with the black ones just because the black had worn off the tool, and I wanted to go with a stainless and black look. But you can see underneath here, you can still see where the black was. There was a lot of black on this tool when I first got it, and I have used it so much that it has worn the black off. Now, the ferro rod, when you might be asking, how does that start a fire? Let me show you. If you go inside the tool, if you unlock it and go inside the tool, you'll see this little retainer. And this little retainer slips away and allows the ferro rod to slip out. And when it slips out, you have it at your disposal like this. Now, the implement on here that I find works the best for throwing sparks is the saw. And it has a great saw. This is your standard Leatherman saw, and it is a beast. It will cut through some wood. I have cut through a 2x4 with one of these in less than a minute, just to see how long it would take me to dig through a 2x4. And the 2x4 did not stand a chance against this. But the backside of this saw is 90 degrees. Very, very sharp. So you can take the ferro rod and you can strike it with the back of this. That's how I do it. There's probably other implements on here that'll work, but I think the saw might work the best. But if I were to throw this down that ferro rod, it would throw significant sparks, and it will start a fire. So you have the ability to sharpen the tool, you have the ability to start a fire, but this thing has another trick up its sleeve. This one is also a whistle, and it is a loud whistle. It will definitely signal for help. This tool is called the Leatherman Signal, and it actually has the ability to signal. Now, a whistle is something that I tell everyone, if you're going out in the woods, bring a whistle. And there are some people who just kind of scoff at that. And I'll tell you, if you're ever in a situation where you have to cry for help, and you know I have a background in search and rescue, so I know a thing or two about this. If you were to have to call for help and you were sitting there yelling, you can only yell for so long. Your voice is gonna give out. And if you're in a remote situation, that's a bad situation. Or maybe you just don't have the power to really punch out a good yell. Well, it takes significantly less energy to blow this whistle. And it is significantly louder and travels significantly farther than a human voice. So 3 bursts on this whistle, that is the international signal for I need help. I hope and pray you never have to use that, but if you do, you'll be glad you had it. Now let's walk through the rest of it. It's got a great set of pliers. This is a beast of a plier head. It's got replaceable wire cutters. Pretty well designed tip here. Like I said, I've pulled splinters with this. It will really bite in and pull a splinter. I've done many things with these plier heads. They are extremely strong, extremely capable. And it's nice to have the replaceable cutters because you never know what you're going to have to cut. That fish hook that I had to cut out of that young lady's bikini was made of some pretty substantial material, and it did bite into this material a little bit. But it cut through it, and it saved the day. So you have this great plier head. I really like it. I do a lot of fishing, and this really comes in handy when you're fishing. Now, inside the tool, there are a complement of smaller tools. And I think they're a pretty good example of tools that you would want when you were camping. You have your multi-bit driver. You can replace these. You can carry many of them. I have a friend, I have one bit that has a glass breaker in there, and he carries that in there all the time. I feel that the standard Phillips and flat works best for me. But that comes in handy. You have a little driver there, and I know there's not a lot of screws in the wild, but you'd be amazed how often you'll use this for something or another. And a lot of things you bring out there with you, like we repaired a stove the other day with one of these, so you never know. This can opener has always been one of my favorite. It's kind of that Talon style can opener, and it can be used for a variety of things. You can actually dig into stuff. You can scrape wood with this. You can do a lot with this little can opener. I've always been a fan of this design. The new one works very well, but this one, I think it just has a little bit more utility than the new design. You also have an awl, and it has the standard hole in it. The new awl that's on, like, say, the Ark doesn't have a hole. I have used this for sewing, and it does come in handy, so it is nice to have. So you have an awl, you have a multi-bit driver, and you have a can opener, bottle opener. This is a pretty good set for outdoors. Now, we've addressed the saw. Let's take a look at the blade. Now, this blade is not full fine edge. It does have some serrations, and some people don't really appreciate or like the serrations. But there are situations where you have to cut through some pretty gnarly material out there, and serrations do come in handy. Now, in my bushcraft blade, my everyday carry blade, I don't want serrations, but I don't mind having them in this situation. They do come in handy. It's one of those things that if you need it, you have it. But if you don't have it, you wish you had. There's some material I've had to cut that was very, very substantial. Well, there you have it. This is the Leatherman Signal. One of my favorite tools, all-time favorite tools. It comes in a variety of colors. You can go to leatherman.com and check it out. I mean, they've got some really exotic colors these days. When I first bought this one, it only came in black and yellow, and that was cool. But now they've got some really exotic ones. You just have to go there and see them. Oh, yeah, one other thing. It has a pommel. I don't use this very often, but I have used it. You know, I have struck a few things with this. Believe it or not, it works quite well. And believe it or not, this actually works good for pulling tent stakes. Believe it or not, if you can get that in there, you can really pull a stake out with this thing. I don't think that's what it's designed for, but I've used it in that application a few times. Well, there you have it, the Leatherman Signal. If you're an outdoors person and you really want a multi-tool to carry out there, this one is the one I recommend. This is the one I personally carry. I want to thank you for spending this time with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I love bringing you these videos, and I look forward to bringing you the next one. So I hope you join me for that one, and be safe out there. We'll talk to you soon.